Carpe diem, guys. Safety Liner C2 here, and this is the question of the month for January 2014. First question of the month of the year. Yes, I'm back in this fedora, more like top hat type thing. Because, well, I went camping this weekend and I kind of forgot to pack my fedora. But yeah, so it seems that I always have like a little 3-minute discussion before the video about something completely unrelated. So Denver's and Seahawks, who's going to win the Super Bowl this year? And well, honestly, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'm not a football person. I don't really watch much sports unless you consider marching band a sport. But you know, if I had to go for one, it'd probably be the Broncos. But like I said, I'm not really a football person or any sport person, but I usually do watch the Super Bowl just because I can, because it's America. But anyway, we're going to go into the question of the month, and like always, we're going to start off by going over last month's question, replying to anyone's comments who said something in my video or said something after I put my video back on the website. So as always, thank you to School Bus Web for making this possible. Link should be right around here, around my face, and it will probably be in the description. So go and check them out. Make sure you register for that. So thanks to them. Okay, now if you remember last year, or, well, yeah, I guess I kind of said last year's question of the month, more like last month's question of the month, was about battery-powered vehicles and how would those last up. So we're just going to go ahead and pick up right where we left off. So Bluebird Vision 12 on the forum, he said, if the increased startup cost of an electric bus is offset by less money spent on fuel, etc., then I'm all for it. However, wasting money, whether the school district or the government is paying for it, by simply buying a bus is simply environmental friendly, simply because it's environmental friendly is not okay, and I 100% agree with that. There is a difference between saving money and being environmentally friendly. As long as all regulations are met, I don't see why the greener bus should be taken over the dirtier one, unless there are additional benefits which make the green bus better. Otherwise, schools should save their money to put to better uses inside their transportation departments, or even elsewhere. Agree, because, well, we put too much money into our transportation department and not enough money towards our laptops, and our laptops suck, just like everything else in the school. Anyway, Thomas Bluebird IC, one of my good friends, one of my good friends, he said, in reply to that, yeah, the bus may save you money in the long run, but assuming that it will last long, they are a lot harder to refuel, and cannot go as long of a distance as a normal bus. If it has mechanical issues, it will be harder to fix due to how different they are compared to diesel buses. And Steve replied to Bluebird Vision 12, saying the last part is absolutely true, saying as long as the regulations are met, then what's really the difference? And that is why some school districts are going without buses at all. South Carolina. The biggest issue with something like this is that costs of changing platform goes down, and no one wants to be the first to change. Everyone wants to benefit if it's not true. It's not that if it's not there. Sorry, it's 11:45 at night, so forgive me. But no one wants a higher cost if it will go down in the future. In other words, you can go first. So I think the BEVs, really thinking about it over the last month, I just don't think they're a good idea yet. I think we're still in the gas age, if you will. I think they're a little too far ahead of our times. But hey, that's just me. And no one replied to my YouTube video. Make sure you guys are letting me know what you think. You guys are my voice practically. I say what goes on. And then this is what I post on the forums for everyone else to see. So anyway, let's go ahead and start off, let's go ahead and jump right into the question of the month for this month, and this one is kind of a fairly simple one. It is sitting on the school bus. So anyway, once again, we each have our little backstory. For all of us that ride, me, or have ridden, not me, or drive, definitely not me, the bus to or from school each day, the ride on the bus is an interesting experience. Tell me about it. Let's see. The focus of this question of the month is how well will things turn out in terms of crowd control on the bus, since it is most cost efficient to transport a bus at or near capacity as opposed to empty. It is done that way. So there are a few questions. How does your contractor or district like to fit its buses? 2 to a seat, 3 to a seat? And how well do things go when riding or driving that way? Are there any major issues besides it being crowded? So let's go ahead. I'll say my answers first, and then we can, I'll read off everyone else's, and we can go from there. So how does my district do that? We normally, well, let's see. In my neighborhood, at my mom's house, we have a fairly small neighborhood. It's nothing big. It's probably bigger than a lot of y'all's neighborhoods, but it's small for around here. And we, last year, my sophomore year, we actually divided it up into 2 different sections. We have the back half and the front half. I really don't like that because I think it's a waste of money, gas-wise and cost-wise for the seats, which I guess is just gas-wise because you're having to go more. But my freshman year, we actually had just one bus go around the whole neighborhood plus a few more stops, which I think was better. But right now, we're usually running 1 or 2 to a seat. I normally sit by myself because no one likes me. I'm kidding. But, it's usually 1 or 2 to a seat. There's a decent amount of people on the bus that we can get 2 to a seat most of the time, just depending on the day because, some people have to go into school early for tutoring or a sport or whatever. It just really depends on the day for that. But we normally only try and keep 2 people in a seat. I'll go ahead and say an experience from from middle school. I was riding bus 548, and that was a 1990 Bird International great bus. And the neighborhood that I lived in was a huge neighborhood. We even had our own elementary school inside of it. And where I'm living now, at my dad's house, or where he lives, the neighborhood is literally like right there, see that window right there? It's literally right on the other side of that window. But anyway, there's like 5 or 6 different sections of the neighborhood, and 548 was assigned to my area, so it was, it's a fairly decent amount of area. I think there were 2 buses that covered it, since it was so big. But anyway, we get on there, and we had 2 stops, I think. Yeah, 2 stops. So we had the one going from the main road, from one of the main roads, and then you would turn into the neighborhood, and then that would be the first stop there. And then you would have the second stop, which was my stop, which would lead out to another main road, which you would take that to go to the school. And of course, that was my stop, like I said. So it was literally my first day of middle school. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was unfortunately the last one on the bus, and very, very, very crowded, huge. It was absolutely insane. I actually sat on the floor because I could not sit down because there were 3 to a seat, and that was insane. That was the only day I rode 548. From there on out, I rode 544, which I'm sure you guys would have guessed by now, which was a 90 Bird International. I would love doing that bus. That was my favorite bus I've ever ridden, besides 6197. So I have my oldest bus and my newest bus are my 2 favorite ones. Ironic? I think not. But anyway, but then we covered that 1 stop in the neighborhood, and then we had 2 more stops in another neighborhood, which is just right across the street from that neighborhood. And we most of the days we we never had two to a seat, unless people just wanted to sit next to each other. But it was enough where we could fit like two more routes in there. There was literally almost no one on the bus, maybe maximum on a normal day 15, and this is a full passenger bus, 12 seats, a decent amount of people getting on. It was probably more than 15, but still, it was normally only one person per seat. So that's just my experience with that. But normally, since I've moved over to where I live now at my mom's house, it's normally been two to a seat. In 7th and 8th grade years, it's also been two to a seat or so. So let's see. How well do things go when riding or driving that way? Me being in high school, it doesn't really matter anymore, because most people are mature enough to, know how they act. Are there still some stupid people out there who haven't matured? Oh, yes. Are there any major issues? A lot of yelling. Like, Friday, I had this girl sit right next to me, and I'm not saying this in a bad way. I don't have anything against them. But she was sitting right next to me. And there were a whole bunch of girls in the seat in front of me, diagonal from me, and right next to me. And there was another guy. I don't really know him, but I just feel like we have a connection, like we've known each other forever. But I don't know, it's weird. But anyway, he was sitting over in the other seat, and I was sitting in my seat. And they just start screaming and yelling and everything, and it was insane. I wanted to put some headphones in, but I didn't have any headphones, and right as soon as they get off, we kind of just look over at each other, and we're like, we're never doing that again. So that was interesting. But really, I can't think of anything much that has happened, other than just behavioral issues. Like, let's see, I remember one year on one bus, it was going home from middle school. One kid threw his whole backpack out the window, nearly hit another car, but that doesn't have to do with crowding. That's just someone being very stupid. I know someone who's brought matches on the bus. I know people who have, of course, graffitied on the bus. My brother. No, I'm kidding. But otherwise, it's just mainly behavioral issues, and all that stuff. I might as well just throw this in there because I feel that it's it's necessary to throw it in there. Let's see. We don't have assigned seats, thank the Lord. And I really haven't had assigned seats in, forever. I think our district required them my 8th grade and 7th grade year, but we didn't have to go by them. Because I don't know why, I just remember that our bus drivers had to sign like we had to write down a roster, but they never enforced it or anything. But in high school, I've never had to do that. But my bus driver, we actually just got a new one this semester. He left up the seating chart for the middle school and elementary school that he also covers from the previous bus driver. So, is a seating chart really necessary? I think it's really only I think it's only really necessary for elementary school. And come to think of it, I actually did have an assigned seat in elementary school. It was seat 10 in the back of a CE. But anyway, it was. I just don't think middle school and high school require it because, well, let's face it, we're grown up. We're growing up, not grown up. High school, definitely, no, you don't need them. Middle school, you're kind of on the edge. I guess that's on the edge for me this month. So it's kind of, it just really depends on the group that you're working with. But then again, that can go for a lot of different things. So let's go ahead and read off all the different comments, and I can agree with this or disagree. And anyway, so Thomas Bluebird Eyes, he says, we do two to a seat for high school and 3 to a seat for elementary school and middle school. My district will pull a second bus on Route 2 if it gets too crowded. Some routes are full and others only have a few kids. Well, okay. Of course, a wonderful Joe. We all love him, don't we? He says, "Oh man, my old school, we bought a 72 passenger bus for a reason. Pack them babies in." He always knows what to say. See, when we had 41 routes go out to do my middle school and high school run, in the morning wasn't bad, two to a seat in all the seats. Now my mentor, she had to stop at the high school to drop off most of the kids off because she was too full, and then had to go back for the other kids. That's interesting. I've never heard of that. She had 3 to a seat on a 72 passenger bus, and I'm just going to go ahead and assume it was an FS65. I don't know why. Let's see. Do less with more is our motto. Worst is the sports bus shuttles in the afternoon. They would send 2 72 passenger buses to the middle school. One for the boys athletes and one for all the girls athletes, grades 6 through 8. These buses would stop at different fields for each sport and then go to the high school and fill up there the PM, stupid thing. And then they would fill the PM route from there, from the school. The bus, I'm going to assume it was the boys' bus. The boys' bus would be packed 3 to a seat. Some seats had to have 4 in them. It was so bad that they had to get another bus to help out. The girls was semi-full with 2 to 3 to a seat. The driver wouldn't really let any boys on the bus. Well, I don't think you were supposed to. District policy, I would hope so. That even went for the track team trips. 1 bus for boys and 1 for girls, true. District was really meticulous about that. But yeah, most of our routes we full. Okay. Now they only buy 70 passenger buses to save money on not having to have a second side emergency door, which is a required state spec for New York. Interesting. Steve said, "I don't usually see the buses at the beginning of the route or in the morning, so most of the ones I see are like photos I posted instead of 3 to a seat." And then he has a smiley face with glasses on. Okay, I doubt that's the case though. In my bus riding experience, which was like $14.92 for him, the policy was pretty much 3 to a seat for everyone, regardless of age. Instead of having to send a second bus, and the example Thomas Bluebird IC gives, my district would make various adjustments if routes were overcrowded, transferring some riders from one bus to another, vice versa, and that's exactly what our district does now, and what they have been doing. For my first 2 years of high school, I was lucky enough to be on the undercrowded bus with only about 10 to 25 passengers on a 71 passenger bus. By my senior year, it was the other way around. It was completely full on a 65 passenger bus. Let's say being involved in after school activities has an upside, and yes, I do agree with that, because a marching band does take up time, and normally around that time of year, buses are super crowded. I don't know why. And then Thomas Bluebird IC said in regard to what he was saying about his quote, what would we do if there's another bus that goes through the area? 2 stops get taken off the route and are transferred to another bus due to having 48 high school kids on a 72 passenger. One neighborhood near me has like 5 buses running through the neighborhood to get all the kids. And then Steve, trying to be funny, said, "It sounds like you live in a big neighborhood." But he probably does. As far as a question 2 or 3 to a seat goes, there are a bunch of answers and opinions. As I see it, a full-size bus that is only partially full is a poor use of resources. If several are like that, perhaps they can be combined together, saving money. This can also be done by the effective use of route planning. And maybe, I hate to say this, but you could consider getting a Type B or a smaller Type C. That's just something thrown out there. Realistically, I would not disagree with the policies that require high school students to sit 2 to a seat. For all intents and purposes, the vast majority of high school students are the same size as an adult, and I'm 6'1", and that's about right. So it is a policy designed around safety considerations to maximize the effectiveness and compartmentalization. That's a big word. I've never heard of it, and I'm not going to hear of it again. I hope. Let's see. Additionally, many 3-point seatbelt systems for school buses, the only safe kind, have limited seating capacity for the older students as well. Additionally, in terms of behavior, 2 to a seat should make things easier to keep track of students. Even then, a bus driver is in charge of many more students than a teacher is while on the road. True. And then Bluebird Vision. Don't get Bluebird Vision and Bluebird Vision 12 mixed up. They're 2 different people. Let's see. Numero uno. My high school district usually doesn't fill up to capacity, but it depends on which route it is. My bus is a 54 passenger, but there are only 24 kids being packed up, including myself, and our route covers a great distance. Okay. Numero dos. The route runs pretty well. No one speaks in the morning unless they're a good morning mumble to the driver. That's me. It's in the afternoon when everyone gets all antsy and starts getting loud. I sit in the first seat next to the driver, so I throw my headphones on and drown them out. Cool. Don't care. Kidding. Let's see. Numero tres. The only issue that my bus driver has is the kids walk so slow, and she actually puts all those O's, so I have to say them. Stupid thing. When getting on and off the bus, some don't even notice we stopped at their house until their friends yell at them. Such a waste of time. Okay, fine. Well, reading this is such a waste of time, too. Anyway. Kidding. And then Jake said, depending on the route, buses can get fairly crowded here, and I'm going to remind you, or if you don't know, he lives in Kentucky, and he actually lives in the biggest district in the country, literally biggest one in the country according to STN. My boot fell over. But anyway, and we're seventh. No, we're not. We're third biggest in the state right now, and we are in the 30s. My district is, so we're a big district, or at least in Texas we are, and we're in the top 100 in the STN magazine. Let's see. I'm fairly sure they stopped allowing that several years ago. Never mind. Hold on. Back when I read the bus, they allowed a certain number of standees, and then I'm fairly sure they stopped doing that several years ago. I don't see the point in standees on a school bus. You're trying to make the kids safe. Let's think about it. The law of physics says, I don't really know the laws of physics. So, using an example from what my teacher said, if you're driving and you push the brakes super hard, you're going to go with it, and boom, you're going to fly forward, if that made any sense to you. So I don't really see a point, but if you are sitting down, there's not going to be as much force because, you're sitting down. Never mind, I'm terrible at physics. That's my worst class. Let's see. Some routes could have less than 20 kids on a full-sized bus, while some routes in more urban areas can be a full load. When I was in school, which was not too long ago for him, there was a route that had almost 5 to 8 standees regularly. Jeez. Parents complained, and some routes ended up getting split, if I recall correctly. Another interesting thing was when I was in school back almost 10 years ago, which I assume that was middle school or elementary school times for him, a bus failed to show up at our school. Interesting. For whatever reason, the transportation office decided to merge the route with another route instead of sending out a spare to cover it. Bad part, both routes needed their own buses. They realized it wouldn't work, but they still put everyone on the same bus. Kids sat 3 to a seat, and at least 15 to 20 standees. It was a 66 passenger bus, so there wasn't room for error. I'm sure a depot got a lot of complaints that day. And that actually reminds me of a story way back whenever I was in 3rd grade. I lived back in Maryland, just right outside of Annapolis. It wasn't a very big town that we lived in. Anyway, the elementary school, we had, maybe 10 buses, and we had all FEs. There was one ICFE, and the rest were EFs. So anyway, I remember, I think it was bus 127, I don't know, off the top of my mind, but I remember that bus couldn't show up that day, because it was broken, or whatever. But anyway, they actually merged it with bus 131, that's the bus, which was the ICFE. They actually had to they put the two routes together because those were the buses that were closest to each other route-wise. So that was interesting that day. I don't know why. That's pretty much one of the only memories I have about elementary school bus rides. But that was most certainly interesting. And every now and then you'll hear on the radio, the CB radio, and I'm sure you guys hear this too. Hey, my bus broke down. I need to get it fixed. Can someone come and pick my kids up? Is that a great idea? I can see why they would do that, but I don't. It's if there's going to be a lot of people. You don't know how big the route is going to be. I mean, you could have like my 6th grader route where you're having 3 people to a seat, the full bus. You're having people stand, or you could have it like my 6th grader route where there were 1 to a seat. So you just really don't know what you're going to be stuck with unless you drop the kids off at the school and then have to go and pick them up, therefore causing them to be late, blah, blah, blah. And, well, I've been late a few times to school because of the bus driver. It's not fun. Let's see. And then Thomas Bluebird IC says, standees, dang, that is insane. Never heard of such a thing being allowed on school buses. Oh, hey, it's a new day now. I just realized that. But yeah, I don't think the standees is a good idea. Steve replies to that saying, I haven't seen it myself where I live. There's a no standees permitted sign that is plastered on the front of the bulkhead. I figured that it had to come from somewhere though, and not everyone can get a seat on the city bus. I can see it on a city bus, kind of, but still, I just don't get it. But that's just me. And Jake replies to Thomas Bluebird IC, going insane about that. He says, yeah, and unfortunately, a very long time ago, I had to ride a route where occasionally I had to stand. It's not fun. I'm almost certain they don't allow standees anymore, and I hope they don't. I sincerely hope that they don't. Joe replies to Jake replying to Thomas Bluebird IC. So, anyway, let's see. As of 95, New York, as of like 1995 in New York, we stopped allowing standees. All buses were mandated to have labels on the side changed to where it says 0 standees, since we require the adult, child, and wheelchair and standee capacity on the side of the bus. So those are just like little vinyl stickers. If you go and check out his videos on his Wayne, he has those, and I think on his Bluebird also. And Steve replies to Joe saying, I'm guessing since it has an adult capacity separately, then it makes New York a policy to have high school students sit 2 to a seat. And finally, Joe replies to that saying, typically that is what we do, but sometimes school want to do more with the less, so we will pack them in, ha ha ha. Yeah, well, there's another segment to this video. I actually cut out this previous segment and, didn't really cut it out, but I kind of split this in between. I said in my last question of the month video, or some other random video, I completely forget which one, that I wanted to get other people's input who are not into the bus industry as well as I am. Shut up. And I'm actually video chatting with one of my buddies from Scouts, and we're going to get his input on the question of the month this month. So I figured this would be kind of interesting to do. Let's go ahead and get his input. So let's see, move this down over here. That's Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
So yeah, he is in middle school and he does stuff like me. So yeah, so Ryan, tell us about your seating chart on the bus. Is there like assigned seats or no?
Yes.
Yeah, is it terrible? Do you hate it or what?
Yeah, I do. I don't like it.
Yeah. How much people are in each seat?
2 to 3.
2 to 3. How much people are in your seat? I should ask.
2.
2? Okay, how much people would you say are on your bus?
I don't know, like...
Just a guesstimate. 50-ish? Okay, and then tell me your bus number so I can think of how much passengers that is.
6062.
Okay, 6062, so for all of you guys, that's an 08 CE, and that is 72 passengers. So, are there some people who sit 1 to a seat?
Like, a few.
A few, so that should be taken care of. That is terrible. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. have you ever had to sit on the floor, or like has it ever been so crowded that you've done anything insane to sit down?
No.
No. Do you have anything else to say? Because well, here, let me pull up this. Let's see, where is it? That's my homework. Kablam. Are there any other major issues on the bus besides it being crowded?
No, not really.
No, not really. All right. Thanks, Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
Bye.
Yeah. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of that. Well, I'm gonna see what else I can do with this. See how far this goes, and let's get back to the main part of the video right now. Okay. Well, my final verdict is saying 2 to a seat. Try and push as much people in it as into a bus, but only having 2 per seat. I think that would be good. And well, do you guys have any insane stories or anything crazy go on your bus? Have you ever had to change routes because of the seating capacity or something? Let me know. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this question of the month. Make sure you guys are letting me know what you think down below throughout this whole video. Whether you agree with me, disagree with me, or have something else to state that doesn't relate to this at all. So yeah, make sure you subscribe right down here to one of these. I always forget. It's a magical red button that says you are now subscribed to Safety Line or C2. Make sure you comment up here, down here, over here, over here. I don't know where they put it, down here where they put it. Make sure you also give this video a thumbs up, or I will, stab you with a pen. And make sure you also share this video with a friend, show it to your mom, show it to your dad, show it to a guy on a random street. I don't care if you don't get raped. Top video up here will lead you to my latest and greatest video, and this bottom link down here will lead you to a random video you gotta click to find out where to go. So yeah, thanks for watching.